They did it. They introduced him. Folks, I'm Ronan and Jane, and we have just watched episode 8 of HBO's The Last of Us. And I welcome you to Bottles and Bricks, a Last of Us podcast. I have me with Sam and Ty from TeamJVS. Fellas, the winter sequence has arrived. We've experienced it. Now we're at the other side. Um, Give me your immediate spoiler-filled thoughts. Like, if this
Yeah,
is time to let it out. Let it out now.
yeah. I'm gonna let Ty go.
Go for it.
Emotional damage. That's what we're dealing with in this episode, man. Emotional damage. No. So, if you watched our non-spoiler review, I focused on two characters, but I'm actually going to focus on three. First off, Bella Ramsey, off the chain. She did her thing. She went beyond the scope of where you could go, and she handled it with such tenacity and such intensity. She really sold she sold Ellie all the way up. But I think within this particular moment, especially the sheer and utter violence she does near the end of the episode, and how she basically deals with this almost being violated, but yet being brutal with David. She handled it well. Second piece, of course, was David, because I've just embraced comparing with the game now. Like I'm always still open, because I compare it, but I don't hold the game. I don't hold the show against the game or the game against the show, anything like that. I just try to look at it. I'm actually excited because seeing certain scenes, like I was telling Ronan and Sam before we started this, the hanging bodies look so much better in the show than it did in the game. I was actually, though, kind of hoping a bit that we would have a bloater to fight off like we did in the game when they were around the fire and everything and they got attacked, but it wouldn't seem too realistic. So I accepted that. It's fine. But coming behind Nolan North, Nathan Drake himself, as a voice actor, and this person portraying David, he did a really great job. He gave you that same creeper vibes. He gave you that same intensity, like you feared for Ellie. Even though she held her own, she broke his finger, she tricked him. Even when she tricked them by telling them the truth to take advantage of it, to attack him, to get away. She did it, and he basically gave us all those same vibes from the game. So kudos to him. Yeah. But there is one. Speaking about voice actors who real actors are portraying. Troy Baker, I love you, man. You did a great job as James. It was so weird because Troy Baker, of course, is the original voice of Joel. So listening to James talk to David is like listening to Joel talk to David. And then you've got Troy Baker chasing down Bella Ramsey. So it's like Joel is chasing down Elliot. It's like messing with my head, but I loved it.
It's a mind fuck.
But the one thing, if I dock the episode for anything, and I'm still thinking about it, I said in the non-review it's a 10 out of 10. I may keep it there, but if I knock it down a 9.5 or 9, it's because Troy is a one episode guy. I mean, this is Joel, right? This is the voice actor who has done all this work that Pedro Pascal shoot. This is who Pedro Pascal shoes fill. He's filling Troy Baker's shoes, and I say that because Troy did all the motion capture, and Troy did all the voice acting. So this is Joel. This isn't just somebody with a voice and they do little CGI. And no, this is all Troy that basically played a pivotal role, half of a pivotal role, because you also got Ellie, who actually contributed to making this whole thing possible. And for Troy to be reduced to a one episode, I'm a little miffed by it. But even in the one episode, he did an amazing job. It was kind of nostalgic because he gave us Joel's voice. It's like, what other voice would you want to hear? And Troy Baker has done some epic voices, but yeah, for him to be a one episode, to hear the actual voice of video game Joel for just one episode, to see this one actor for just one episode, it's almost like you've taken a great breath of acting, perfection. I don't even want to say perfection, maybe acting prowess, and just reduced it to basically an Easter egg if you're a gamer and you've seen it. I was a little miffed by that. But other than that, episode was good. I'm still on the fence. I haven't made a decision fully yet if I'm going to keep it at a 10 out of 10. It might hit a 9.8, 9.7. I'm not sure yet. We'll figure out by the end of the review. But yeah, shout out to Troy. You did your thing, bro.
Sam?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I got a lot of touch points, but I'll go ahead and get on Troy Baker. I mean, first off, Troy Baker is a beast, bro. If you look at his rap sheet in terms of voice acting, like, he is the man. He's done everything from, of course, Joel, but he's been the Joker. He's done everything. He's even been Batman before. I actually knew that his role was going to be reduced. I didn't think it was going to be even 2 episodes. I thought it was going to be really 1. I think me and Ronan talked about it when we saw the first trailer, and we were kind of like, okay, that's David. Scott Shepherd is probably David, and we're seeing Troy Baker right next to him. I kind of was like, is he just going to be like a one note, like they're going to give him a line, or they're going to give him something to do? And the fact that they gave him some action moments to do, that he was the one that almost legit ended Ellie, I thought there was so much symmetry and poetry behind that. And also the fact is that James is a character that Troy is playing. He's not the conventional person. Like, he wasn't even behind what David was trying to do. He didn't believe in David. He didn't believe in religious stuff. He didn't believe what was happening. Even when he was eating, he knew what was going on. He didn't even want to be there. So the fact that they kind of made him a defiant character, they gave him a lot of different things. I am happy that they gave Troy this much to do. Getting to Scott Shepherd, I ain't gonna lie, man. When I played the game, the very first time I played it, and I remember this character, David, I never forgot him. Because I was like, this dude is creepy. He came off so innocent. He was like, kind of like a father figure. You kind of felt like he maybe had like a daughter or a son. He was like, you know what? No, don't worry. Don't shoot her. We'll help do this. And I was like, okay, this might be a bait switch, but he seemed like a kind soul. But then when that conversation happened, when she was locked up, and the way they recreated in this one, it hit differently. When I was playing the game, it's kind of like, oh, man, this is really creepy. But it's different when, Bella Ramsey plays a good 14-year-old girl. Like, it's like she acts like and feels like a kid. Yes, she's got some violent tendencies. Yes, she's in a post-apocalyptic situation, but at her core, Ellie is still an innocent kid. And in this episode, on so many different levels, she's defiled. Like, she is put through certain things that, reduce her moral compass, yes, but take away levels of her innocence. And like, Scott Shepherd is behind a lot of that. That scene when he kind of touches her hand, like, and she allowed herself to approach him to try to figure out how she could kind of get away. That's a compromise. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't think about it like that. You think about, oh man, this dude's trying to be creepy, but she's also having to kind of break walls to see how she can get out. But dude, when there's 2 specific scenes in this episode, and I give it all to Bella and I give it to Scott. Man, that scene when, Ellie kind of, shanked your boy Troy in the neck. And before that happened, when she was pinned down and was screaming, terrified, like, I was like, she is a great actress. And then when it happened again later, and it, like, legitimately, like, it looked like he was trying to rape her. Like, there was no ifs, ands, but it's not like I'm watching it and I'm seeing, like, I mean, yeah, this man knows his file around, but he could care less. He's a sycophant. Like, he's a sicko. And like, it's not even so much that he is a cannibal, like he's a violent person, but he's a sick one. And I think that Scott portrayed that sickness so well, But the fact that he made a comparison of his own sickness to Ellie, and then how she had to take that sickness out, dude, Bella's. I don't know how y'all felt about when she was going ham on David's face. Like
Oh yeah.
I thought that Ashley Johnson did a great job, voice acting that scene, but it's a difference in actually physically delivering it. And bruh, Belly and her approach with that, Bella just
This
I just God.
I get it, and this is where I want to make it clear with folks that that Ashley and Troy did the voice and the motion capture. So any movement that you see in the game, that's Ashley and Troy, and this is where it's a fun comparison because we're spoilers now. In the game, Ellie is like she's pulled away.
Mm-hmm.
She's pulled away,
Right.
and she's still in that mindset of killing. And it's Joel that has to be like, it's me, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, what I love, and it broke my heart because when I saw her grab the machete, I knew that there goes Ellie's innocence. There
Exactly.
she
That's
goes.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
I literally, my heart dropped.
Yep.
That's when I started getting misty eye. I'm like, oh no. And I was waiting, and I was sort of internally pleading. I'm like, please, Joel, pull her away, pull her away. And they didn't have him pull her away. It just stayed. It stayed there for seconds. And as each slice happened, I'm like, there goes a month, a day, a week, an hour of her innocence going away.
Yeah.
And she walks off.
Yep.
And I knew, I'm like, this is where Joel's gonna get, like get her up. And yeah, I was waiting for the baby girl because baby girl always gets me.
Yeah,
And
that hit. That
it
hit.
kind of got me.
That hit
and,
different this time too. Because
yeah, it hits differently. Yeah. But yeah, you said that the sense of rape, on the precipice, and I couldn't do anything. I just had to sit here and watch it, and that's where it's fascinating the juxtaposition of when you pick up a joystick and you're controlling, you're surviving it, and you're like, I'm moving my way out. I'm like, I'm not letting this girl get raped. I'm like, let me get the machete and cut this fool to pieces.
Right.
And just even. So you both of you said most of what I would think of Bella and just how, and Pedro, te quiero, hombre. What you're doing, you're running, you're taking this role and you're running with it. You're doing your thing, and yet you're honoring parts that I see with Joel, like that the interrogation scene. I'm like, there's the Joel. There he is, because I was like, there's the violence that like doesn't make me like go caught up. I'm like, that's where I feel like when I see moments like that, I'm like, okay, this is the man who survived 20 years in this post-apocalyptic world. Now I feel it. But Bella has been the one that like somehow, I don't know if it was contractually or just maybe they did it privately, but it was like if she and Ashley did a secret handshake, it was like, okay, this is the code of how you play Ellie. You do this, and you be good. And somehow Bella either got it from Ashley, and she's like, okay, I got it. I'll honor you, and in live action, and just been running with it. She's been the one that because I remember from the get go with the casting, people like, okay, I see Pedro, but Bella, and as someone who's still catching up with Game of Thrones, I'm like, let's see what she does. And from the get go, I was like, she's got it. And this one, it was just, it was the dread. Dread was following me now because I'm like, I know what's about to happen, and I'm waiting for a change or just to like sit with it and just deal with it. And now I gotta be the one to sit with people who haven't played the game and like have a blanket ready and have tissues boxed ready. Because even the reveal of the ear in the ground, I'm like, people you either sense it because television and movies, and if you don't know and you don't see it coming, it's gonna be a real kick in the balls or wherever you have you to be like, oh, these people are eating people. What the fuck?
Right. That's the thing I'm curious about from y'all's perspective is take yourselves. Imagine if you had never played the game and I think that's where it's hard for us that's that's played the game. But I try to do that as much as I can because I'm trying to think about how I would feel if I'm watching this. We've seen all the way up to this point, Ellie hasn't killed anybody. You know what I mean? Like she's defended herself. She's been willing, to risk it all for Joel, of course. But it's like in this episode, she just gets thrown through so much. and she was so strong for so long, even in this episode. But it was just like, it's a lot, bro. I'm real curious to see how people's perception of this is. Like, even like whenever my wife watches this might be difficult for her.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, because it's like, it's still a kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't know, like, that's the other thing that I thought was fascinating with Scott Shepherd's version of David is we get to see him interact with other people, a part of his camp. That little girl that he just like backhand licked and was like, yeah, I'm your dad now. Wow. I don't know what he even meant by that, because if we take that same analogy, how he said to Ellie, then we don't know what he's done to that little girl or any of them. Yeah. In all honesty, like, if they're already, cannibals and already doing certain things and links, and he had already alluded, like, Ravengers that came by, and we don't even know what he allowed to happen. You know what I'm trying to say?
That's where I scuff whenever I hear, and God bless you, Troy Baker, I'm a fan, but I remember when Troy would always make the connection between Joel and David. And I'd be like, okay, Troy, come on now. Like, it's like I know Joel's a killer. We know that already. But and it's part of the audition. He said that like Joel has few moral lines left to cross. That's how he came up with Joel's character. That's where I'm like, David crossed the lines already, for righteous reasons or not, however you perceive it. Yes, he had to, follow, protect his group and all that stuff, and he could feel justified. But like, you cross the line, and you probably cross the line that you're hinting at, and we just haven't seen it. It's like you've eaten people, and you really raped people, little girls, right there. I'm like, Joe hasn't done that, so that's me. That's my take on that. But even when we bring up his perspective, even her when that moment, it's funny, and it's also almost sad, where she's like, okay, Joe, what do I do this? I have the medicine that is infected. Where do I do this? And you're like, that's a kid. A kid would be like, okay, I know what it exactly hit it.
Right. And realistically, they would not.
Yeah, exactly.
If I was a kid, I would went for his neck. I've been like, oh, put the penicillin in his neck.
We were talking about rating a few minutes ago. To me, I'm thinking about it right now, and it'll all depend once we rewatch it. When again, the episodes. But I think that although the show hasn't failed me yet, this one, I think the pacing was off a little bit. I don't know why. Although everything lined up the way it should have lined up, and though we took turns that I didn't think we would spend time with, like the cannibals. But it was just something about spending more time with Ellie hunting. I don't know. It's something.
I know what it is, because if you think about the game, randomly, Joel is down, and then Ellie's out hunting. You don't know how long of a period of time in the game that Joel's been kind of laid up, and then we don't even see Joel doing the things that he's doing in this episode. So it's not that they shoehorned it, it's that they changed it.
Yeah.
Like, we're playing as gamers, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, we're like, oh, we're learning how to play as Ellie. We learn how to hunt as Ellie. We're spending a lot of time with Ellie, just Ellie. You know what I'm saying? And then she gets put in this precarious situation. We're like, oh, crap, we might need Joe. But no, we have to learn to survive as Ellie alone. Yeah. And then eventually, he comes back and meets us. But we don't get to see a lot of that stuff, those spreads with Joel. What they wanted to show is what Joel was doing, his devotion to her. Yeah. Even the fact that, like, Ellie left him the knife was like, if anybody comes through there, you better kill him. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, Ellie is a real one. She was like, because in this one, it's like, no, I'm gonna lead them away from you, and that's different. So I think that the pacing is not. I don't think the problem is the pacing of the episode. I think it's your perception of what we knew from the game. The game is very fundamentally different, because it's like that whole scene from the moment that she's shooting deer until David, that had to have been like 3 hours or 2 hours worth of gameplay at least, depending on how slow you do it or what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is.
This is basically Ellie being Joel. Remember, she said, if I lose you, I'm basically screwed. Right?
Yeah.
So with Joel, with Joel doing what he's doing, it's like with Joel being down, she's like, I gotta be Joel now. I gotta take care of you.
Yep.
I need you because I'm not gonna make this without you. So she's the one who has to, like, everything we see in this episode. This is stuff that if it was reversed, we'd be used to it because this is what Joel will deal with,
Yep.
But she's now showing her prowess and her resilience and basically her ability to actually make it. We're starting to see the early steps of the things that of the results of what Joel has taught her so far, what she's seen, and how she's endured.
Hey, listen, and I come off sometimes with some of these episodes as nitpicky, and that's because just it's the gamer of me with this game. And full disclosure, I didn't play this game before we started watching this. I haven't played in a while. It's just that's how good the game is, that it's memorized in my brain, and it's just when moments pop up, it's the connection goes back into me. And I have to give it props, and hopefully the edit keeps it this way. There are two shots that I'm like, that's great subtlety, and don't use an effing dialogue. Don't use an effing word. That look says everything. There's a look with Ellie when she finds out what these people are eating that she didn't have to say, oh, fuck, you gotta be kidding me. Cannibals. She didn't have to say that at all. That look that Bella said 1,000 words.
Yeah.
Said a paragraph. There's a look that also Joel Pedro gives when he finds her backpack. He thinks, oh my God, they killed her or she's possibly dead.
Right.
He gives this turn look that, like, all right, now screw this. I'm getting everybody in here. And it just happens he finds Ellie. And even when he sees the bodies, he could have been like, God help us, or God. It's subtle, and the look says everything, which I would think people can't blur out something when they see something so graphic as he did in that sequence, regardless of the post-apocalyptic environment. And again, Troy Baker said that they spent a month per episode. When I see the production, when I see the environment, I could tell.
Yeah,
I could tell that.
Yeah, they definitely, like, cinematography wise, some of the shots were just really well done. And even some of the scenes that were very dark, like, you see everything. But I mean, when I'm sitting there watching your boy Joe doing what Joe can do, I'm like, that's Bobby Yeager right there. He out there killing souls, bro.
Yo,
But
the first dude he caught in the
dog.
I think
Ty got so excited he muted himself. Ty, you muted yourself, dog. Ty, you muted yourself, dog.
I muted myself. I realized that. What I was saying is that Joel, look, what I will say is that Joel actually started this whole thing off like Brad Pitt and Troy. He caught that dude in the neck, like, yeah, like just straight in the neck. He just started on a whole other level.
Dog,
crazy.
That
ridiculous.
That man was born to end lives. I ain't gonna lie. It's like, Joe, I think it's gonna be interesting by the end of this series. If they ended it where I think Ronan had predicted they may end it, people's perception of Joel as a whole is gonna be like, oh man, that dude's a bad A, but daggone. No. So yeah, I don't have anything further. 10 out of 10 to me, man. I'm just excited to see the next episode, see where it's gonna go. It's getting late. So I kind of want to get to it, but 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, to me, it's I think it's a solid 9 or 8.5. Again, doesn't take anything away of my journey with these actors and what they're doing with this show, and the avenues we're spending time with that we didn't in the game. I'm not taking that for granted. It's just that's something I think even they have to realize that, like, okay, a lot of the people who are gonna like tune into the show, the big numbers, first off, it's probably our fans who've been following us since 2013. So we're gonna have to get used to it. That they might have to also get used to experiencing stuff that's similar yet different, or stuff that is completely different, and accept it, and then review it or have feelings about it as a whole afterwards. Because again, At no point have I been like, fuck this show, I'm dropping it. I'll see you later, guys. You guys cover it. I'm not at that point at all. If anything, let's start the next episode ASAP. Ty, what do you think?
So for me, I'm taking it down to a 9.5. Nothing against the show, but I feel like there was more from that we could extract from Troy in that role. I mean, I understand the purpose he served and that they weren't going to take it past an episode. I get it. But I feel like there was more from him we could have gotten. But like I said, it's a 9.5. It's the first decrease I've given to the show this far. It's only honestly because I wanted to see more Troy. It was just and probably from a gamer perspective, somebody who's played the games, I'm giving it a 9.5. But if I were to look at this as somebody who hasn't played the games, it's still a 10 out of 10 for me anyway. So pick and choose your rating however you want. But the gamer side of me wanted more of Troy Baker, hearing that original voice of Joel, and actually getting to compare it with Pedro Pascal's voice of Joe. It was dang near spot on. It was like right here. It was like a little bit off. You could tell who's Pedro, who's Troy Baker. You could tell, but it was so good. It was so good. As a gamer, though, I wanted more of that. But as somebody who was just watching the show as if I've never seen it before, still a solid 10 out of 10. So nothing really changes.
Beautiful. Folks, we're this close to concluding the first season, if you will, of HBO The Last of Us. Thanks, fellas, for joining me again in Bottles of Bricks. And to everybody, to the edge of the universe and back. Endure and survive.